Good evening, everybody. And I must also say good morning this time because we've got a lot of people who've joined not only from India, but a lot of people who've actually joined in from UK as well. And I'm delighted to see Harriet on screen. Harriet, how are you? Before I come into the formal welcome, Harriet, I'm going to just quickly welcome everyone and talk a little bit about the GWPR team and what we do and why we're here, and talk about a few house rules that we have for this session, and then get cracking on. So let's begin. And again, I am absolutely delighted to have this chat with you, Harriet, today. And I know everyone is very, very excited. So let's begin. Um, Quick house rules. Uh, Everybody, you are going to be on mute. We will allow you all to unmute to ask questions as soon as we reach that point in our conversation. We're going to be doing that. So keep the chat buzzing. Please keep commenting, putting in any questions that you may have. We will definitely get to that as you know, while we're in the session and as the session's going on. We have some hashtags we'd like you to use through the session. These hashtags are hashtag future is female, hashtag GWPR India, hashtag women in leadership, and the most important one of today, which is hashtag being ambitious. So feel free to keep social media buzzing as well. And you all can tag Harriet Green. She's on all platforms: LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. So keep that going as well. We will, I would also want to let you know today we have our founding members of GWPR India, and happy to welcome each one of them as well into this session. A little bit about who we are, the GWPR organization, and why we're set up. Well, it's a network that brings together women communicators from companies, PR agencies, consulting firms, as well as independent consultants. We just launched in December in India, and this is our very first session in 2021. So, Harriet, we're delighted to have you. And our goal really is to mentor, support, and inspire women communicators and help them take on the mantle of leadership. We have a lot of our mentees, and we run a fantastic program called the Project Wand, and a lot of them are here in this session. This is a platform for women to exchange ideas, best practices, and build networks. We are open for memberships, and you can reach us and look for us and find out more information on globalwpr.in, or just do a search on Google for GWPR India on just look for us on Google. So before I get started on the formal welcome, and I am so in awe of this introduction because, Harriet, there is so much that you've done and accomplished, and I can go on for hours, but I've picked what I believe will absolutely delight everyone, and they'll feel lucky that they're actually in this conversation today. So let me, before I get started, Harriet, I wanted to quickly tell you something interesting. Because it's COVID times, Harriet, you know that we're not able to have this session in person. But if we were, and I kept thinking about it, that if the session was actually in person, one of the things I would have loved to do, as I read out your introduction and before you actually came onto the stage, while you were walking in, the background song that I would have played for you as you made that walk straight to the stage, to the session, would have been, "This girl is on fire," because that is who you are, Harriet. And I am delighted to welcome you. And I would like to now formally say why we have you here and what all you've actually achieved. So, you are Fortune's most powerful women internationally in 2019. You are currently on the Advisory Council for King's College London. You are the executive chair for Mission Beyond and advisory board member for Red Badger. You have been on the board of some amazing companies, and some of them are IBM, Thomas Cook, Emerson Electric, and I can keep going on. I just got a few here. But what I'm most excited to tell everyone about, Harriet has received the OBE from the Queen herself. This is the second highest ranking order of the British Empire. Phenomenal. Wow. I am just so proud to be even, talking about this, Harriet. I'm getting this opportunity to do that. And if I may continue, you are currently LinkedIn's top voice of 2020. I know you were there even in 2019. You're one of the top influencers in the business world. Your business transformation stories are stories to go for. So I am delighted about, talking about some of them as well. You are also on the Hero Wall of Fame for this year, but what I am absolutely excited about is that you are also the world's most, the 100 most creative people, business people in the world. So, Harriet, a very, very warm welcome to you from all of us in India, in GWPR, and of course, the rest of the world that has joined us today. So, before I jump into my first question, please tell us how excited you are to be here today.
Oh, I'm really, really excited to be here. My husband is even more excited, so that someone else is listening to me rather than just him at the moment. So he encourages me to do these speeches and presentations. But I'm also really, really looking forward to your questions. I don't think the Queen is joining us today, but hey, with all these great women on and men, thank you for your allyship. I think we're going to have a good talk. So let's get going, Suki.
Absolutely. Let's get started. So, while we said you were amazing, awesome, I must say you are so ambitious. Now, that's a good word. And we usually hold back when we use a word like ambition and ambitious. So, my first question to you, Harriet, and I think a lot of us really want to know is what is it, what is it, what should we all cultivate when we sort of use this word, or or look at other people when this word is used, even if you look at it internationally or globally. When we look at somebody like Kamala Harris, people say that's fantastic and she's right up there, but then there is one side of the world still saying but we're not sure she's the right person for that, because just the way she sort of goes about it. And in India, I'm just bringing a quick cultural context to this as well. I'm not sure a word like being ambitious is something that is a first word little girls, or even women want to use as something that we're very proud to say that I'm great at this and I'm good at this, and I am fiercely ambitious. We kind of hold back. So I'd love to hear from you. How does one even work around that word, and does it start from there?
Yeah, I think that it's a great question, and I think it starts with being comfortable with who you are. And if you want to have a voice, if you want to make a big difference, then you have to believe in yourself. And I think that self-belief, not worrying too much what other people think of you. And I've got many examples and stories of that later on. But I think this sense of what is it that you are and what is it that you want to be? If you want to have a voice and you want to question things and you want to move forward and push forward, then don't worry too much what other people say. And of course, culturally, you need to develop a repertoire of skills that just manages the differences. Personally, as most of you know, I love India. I've spent a huge amount of time in India, and I'm conscious that I am a little more deferential, a little more joyful, a little less aggressive in the early stages of a relationship But once confidence is established between the two parties, then my normal self sort of reemerges. But I think it has to come down to you believing in yourself. And if you want a voice, if you absolutely want to make a difference, then you're going to need to breathe life into and drive forward. And as I often say to my younger mentees, don't worry so much what other people think of you and say about you. And other people may be stealing your ideas, or there are many, many ways to be to project yourself without being objectionable.
Wow. So self-belief, having a voice, not really worrying about what others really have to say, but just power, just kind of power through. But having said that, Harriet, but when does one, we're actually talking on the topic of, really getting onto boards of companies and, just making it right up there. So
Yeah.
if I look at all these things that you just spoke about, which is, we need to know for ourselves first whether we have that voice, whether we can even make it there, and whether we're going to get there. But I think the question on everyone's mind is, but when does one know that, we're ready and we can make it, and we can, we have it in us? How does one actually go about something, like this? I think that's really the question on everyone's mind. When do you know?
So Shruti, I think that's the wrong question. You are all ready now to join a board of some description. Why? Because there are thousands of men out there already on boards. And having some magical timing or some magical point is not, I think, the first question. The first question is, do you want to be on a board? A private board or a public board? And if so, I think there are a number of steps that you need to take. First of all, as the great Steve Jobs said, the most powerful role in the world is storytelling. What's your story? How do you tell that story in your CV, in your resume, in your website, in your own personal brand? Your own personal brand is very, very important. So when you've decided, I want to be on a board, you should then look carefully at what type of board. First myth buster is many women think, well, look, I'll start with something smaller, maybe be a trustee, or maybe just work in a small charity. You can do that if you like. But my recommendation is find a board, a company, an organization where you're really interested in what they do, where you think you can add some value because you care passionately about this subject, you know something about the area or the activity, and that you have an empathy for what this board does. I can absolutely guarantee if you have no interest in that company or their activity or that organization, don't do it. The second question I ask myself, and I've given advice on this many times, is, are there any other people that look like me on this board? Either that they are transformers, that they are women. I personally, I don't think I need to be on alone on a board, the token. I want to feel comfortable. They don't have to be all women. They don't have to all be transformers, but I don't want to be a lone token voice. Are there other people like me driving this organization forward? And then, and I have done this on a number of occasions, I did it quite recently, just pick up the phone and try and talk to that person and tell your story. What's the worst that can happen? They say no, okay, and then you pick someone else. But I think that we need to be our own storytellers. We need to decide what boards we'd like to be on. And of course, it doesn't happen immediately. You need a great deal of human resilience to cope with the knocks, but it is all within your power. And there's no magical time where you suddenly think, well, now I am experienced and strong enough to join a board. Every board needs a communicator. Every board needs someone who understands PR. Every board needs a woman that can connect with the products and services that are out there. Go for it.
So you are right about that. But then, Harriet, why are the numbers so low? Because we all know that 64% of seats, in a boardroom table are, usually taken up by men. And if you look at this profession, if you look at, the PR industry or the communications industry, specifically, and these numbers are from there. And, there's a survey that we've actually done. And I just want to quote, some of the numbers, and I'm just going to circle that back to whatever you said, which is a lot about what we can do, right? Which is me as an individual and what each one of us can do. But the numbers don't say that story. So I'm just going to quickly talk about some numbers that have come out from the PR the this year's 2020 global PR survey, and it says this industry has 2/3 women, but men still hold 64% of the seats, which I just mentioned. 80% of PR professionals believe that having women in the boardroom improves working practices. However, the biggest barrier to women in the boardroom is childcare and caring responsibilities. So I think my question is there are two questions here for you, Harriet. One is all that you said, absolutely right. That's what's in our control. And then there is this thing outside of us, and those numbers are saying a story, which is, but how do you make that happen? How do you make that happen? That's one. And two, given COVID.
Yeah. So I want to re-emphasize, we all have choices, men and women, all of us. And if you really want to be on a board, then finding a way to manage some of your other choices, family, etc., is important. But I profoundly believe there are three important constituents that you can be working on. The first is you. If you want to do this, pick the boards, get that storytelling, go at it. And you may have to approach many, but decide you want to do it and go for it. The second is choose chairman, choose boards, do your research that seem more amenable. Industries like the PR industry, where the greatest communicators often are women, narrow the search by researching and finding out the more sensitive, more open, the chairs who've dealt with their unconscious bias, who already have communicators or women or demonstrate a much more inclusive board. And those might be in a particular industry from a particular country. And take advantage of the fact that many more boards are looking for women, those of color, and those who represent the great ability to communicate and storytell. Thirdly, you need to either circumvent the headhunting industry because they have their little packages of favorite people, or you need to befriend people in it and find headhunters that regularly place people because of their age, their sex, their color, their creed, and their cognitive, demographic, and physical abilities. But if you can't find friendly ones in the areas that you want to work in, then go round them. And so, you cannot sit there and say, well, there are all these barriers and I have healthcare, I have childcare and family issues. If this is something that you want to do, then build a plan and start to go at it. It won't happen in the first, well, it may in the first company that you contact, but it will be unlikely. So make choices, make plans, and go at it. And no buts.
Got that. Well and clear. So, Harriet, I'm still going to delve a little deeper into the same question, which is given we're all at this time where we're all, went through lockdown and now we're all working from home. We're again seeing a lot of, focus again on, it being difficult for women to manage so many things at home. And, given again a profession like marketing or PR, there are crises to solve, there are things to be at, all the time. There are no regulated sort of, working hours. We know there is a choice, and that's how we can, sort of run things around. But how did how does one, go about dealing with, still getting to wherever it is, we're planning professionally in a time and a period like this? One. And two, a personal question to you, Harriet. When you were making, your run to where you got to, what were some of your own challenges and how did you deal with it? Because I agree on making life choices, but how, give us some tips, tell us how you went about it. And so I think these are two sort of related questions, one in today's time and one, of course, just how did you manage it with playing all those different roles that you played while you were going about it.
So I think I go back to the issue of personal choices. There is no question, all of the data shows that women have been very deeply affected by the pandemic, both in terms of all the challenges of homeschooling, of managing the household, of being able to navigate your career on Zoom, no question. But I think it goes back to those choices. It's almost as if a new compact has to be determined by other people in your family. Sometimes women do what needs to be done, just take on that burden, take on the work. But an important new compact with other members of your family needs to be embraced so that everyone is sharing their part of the responsibility. And the big advantage in Indian families is often you have a larger family together, so more people can play a part in the child care, the family care, the care of our elderly relatives and our young. But I think that often we just take on the burden and we don't sit down with everyone involved and say, hey, this has changed. I need this, and then I need this to be able to achieve what we agreed as partners that we would embrace. I think the second thing that is very, very important at this time is that a sort of rediscussion, a renegotiation with everyone that you're involved in, your manager, your supervisor, your partner, your kids, as to, this is a global pandemic. People have not in our lifetimes really experienced this. And to really spend time highlighting the positives of what part we can each play. Today I posted about the simple things. Instead of me moaning about how small my life is right now, about how particularly unexciting it is, how about loving more the things that are simple pleasures, whilst planning some of the things that we need to do? And I know this is very hard with homeschooling, with knowing where my career is going through Zoom. But I think we need to be kinder to ourselves, first of all, that we're doing really rather well, and kinder to those around us whilst we share the responsibilities and burdens where we can, so that people are playing their part. And this rediscussion, this new compact that is kinder to each other in our bubble, in our circle, in our family, is very, very important, whilst driving forward on our plan and on our mission.
Wow. So there are a lot of renegotiations to be done, both at work and at home. Thank you. Thank you, Harriet. I'm still going to, sort of ask you around the question about, is the board, of course, you spoke about self-belief. So each one of us would know whether we're really cut out for the board or not. But according to you, what do you think are, some of the skills that one really needs, to even consider themselves to sort of be on the board? So, for example, whether it is financial acumen, of running a P&L, of, that's on one side. Two is, a lot of people obviously talk about the fact that, as you move up and you want to get to some of those big positions, there's a lot of power and politics that come into play. Now, is everyone cut out for that? And how does one even prepare themselves, for a position like this? So, I'm again going back into my question, but yeah.
So first of all, how do you know that? I mean, why should we be fearing fear itself? If you're not on a board, why do you assume it's politics and it's ferocious? I go back to the advice that I give myself and I give other women. All organizations, all boards need to reflect the communities they serve. And 51% of the world's population in your country and just about every other country represented on this call today are women. And so you are invaluable to boards. And I restate, first of all, join a board of something you're interested in. There's no point joining a board just to be on a board. If you're not interested in what they do, then that won't shine through. Secondly, have a research the chairman, the work that they do. Is this something that would be fun for you as well as valuable for the board? And then I think there are just two things you need to know. Your own defining and differentiating skill, and you are all communicators, storytellers, PR people, writers. Boy, that is such an important skill on a board. And secondly, you need to understand something about how that organization or business works. And, you don't need to be the greatest financial expert, but you do need to understand how you read a P&L and a balance sheet. I think that's important. But if that's not what your profession is, then the profession of communicating, of PR, of digital media, these can redefine old brands. My CMO sent me something this morning about the cranberry brand, whose brand was entirely reboosted by smart TikTok media. And you will know about that more than pretty much anyone else on the board. So I think you need to stop thinking about boards as these mythical, male, political, bad places, and find some boards of organizations that you're really interested in, where you could add value, where you'd be excited to contribute. Demystify the fact that you are not capable and you are not able. And if you don't want to join a board, that's also perfectly fine. There's plenty of other ways that you can give back and contribute to your societies and communities, not just on boards. So pick the board. match it to your skills, research the other people, and go tell your story.
Great. Before I open it out, Harriet, to the audience for questions, and Ipshita, if the chat has got some questions, we'll go for that. Harriet, just before that, Harriet, could you give us one example of a story, of your own story, where you had to sort of deal with, a tough decision on a board, where probably gender came into play, or just give us an example where you had to hold your ground, and you turned something around because of just bringing a different perspective to that board that you were maybe serving on.
Yeah, I would give you a general point first, and then a very specific personal learning that comes back to resilience and some things that certainly I've learned to do better. Because, experience comes from bad decisions as well as good decisions. I think on every board I've served, the Peaceworks board, which is a NGO on BAE Systems, on Emerson. I think that I have always been the face of diversity and inclusion, helping people understand that their team should reflect the products, the communities they serve, and that it's not just good enough to hire diversity, but you need to ensure that people feel they belong and they believe and that they matter. And so it is progression when you are one of a few women in a company. It is retention when you are the only woman of color in that group. So I have been the voice that has often said, really? Another man? Where were the women on the slate? What were their skills? How deeply did we go for this? And if you were to ask chairmans that I've worked for, learning to do that increasingly constructively has been helpful. Two learnings that I've had on a board. The first is that often as a female CEO, I went out of my way to make what I did look easy. I didn't always share how difficult some of the stages were. And so people then thought, well, she's finished. She's done her work. We can move on. But of course, particularly digital transformations take longer. So don't make things look too easy. And of course, you need to take a board with you. And you can't just tell boards what to do as a public company CEO. And, getting that buy-in and doing better stakeholder management is a very big learning. And then the final one is after I had left a company and board, and a couple of people actually who are on the line know this, but many months afterwards, because the company was deeply struggling with something in the public eye, the company did a deal with the press about future advertising and future commercial decisions, so that the conversation and the criticism moved to me, even though I was no longer the CEO. It was devastating. Front pages of the Sunday Mail, what a bad person I was. And I learned that the only person who can help you with that is you. That you have to believe that this is bullshit, that you have to get your message out there over time. I didn't know any of this until actually quite recently, when the lawyers involved, the press involved, shared this deal had been done. And it's your own personal belief that you can get out there, go tell the truth, and get a great role again that leads you through. So I stop where I started. It doesn't matter about what your mom thinks of you or your partner or your kids. It's what you think of yourself that really matters. And I would back me every time in a crisis. I'd back me every time to tell a story, and I'd back me every time to do what's right for people, planet, and profits.
Just thank you for sharing this. This is just truly powerful. Thank you. I mean, it's just, yeah, there's so much to you, right? I mean, in terms of what these are stories that are not out there in the sort of public domain. So thank you for sort of sharing this. I'm just going to move, Harriet, and I think a lot of people have joined, and I'm sure there are. I see this chat buzzing, so I'm just going to quickly open and
There's
see.
some great inputs on the chat. I totally agree. I think it was Trish said, one of the most important choices is no, it was Angela. The most important choices is to choose a good partner, husband, wife, to take an equal role. That is one of the seriously big choices. And thank you, Trish, for saying it was powerful. There's a lovely question here from Melissa. What type of allies? Allies, sponsors, mentees, so important. People who are wise and trusted, people who really like you. Those are so important. My whole life, I've had those extra helpers. Get them if you don't have them. Sorry, Shruti, I know this is your job, not mine.
No, don't worry. I love how you just jumped in. But no, I see a lot of things. I think this story about your, self-belief, I see Rima saying, that's amazing. Angela, of course, a lot of people. We run a program under GWPR called Project Wand. It is our mentorship program. And we have, a couple of mentees here who I know have questions. I'm thinking after listening to you. So I'm just going to open up and see if, Nilufar or Pooja or please go for it, guys.
Okay, so, so hi Harriet, Nilufar here. Hi, uh, thank you so much for sharing that story. The first thing that immediately comes to mind is, yes, you have to believe in you, but I honestly need to ask you one question after the main question is that, but when that shock hit you and the news came, and obviously it hit somebody, right? How did you pick yourself up? That's honestly a question because as women, a lot of things hit you, right? Whether it's personal, professional, managing even home. PR is our life, right? We do everything. Don't take the credit for it. That is being a woman, right, in real life as well. So, just
No,
the first question. Yeah,
it's
then
a
the
great
second.
question. I love the name too, Nilofer. What a beautiful name. What does it mean?
It means a water lily, and you're one of the few people who likes it.
I love it.
Thank you.
Nilofer, our little water lily. That's beautiful. Well, I'll tell you, when they ran the story on the front pages of the Sunday Mail, you just want to hide. People saying you're a terrible person and you treated people badly. You just want to hide. You just want to protect your mom, your children. And then you walk and you shout and you scream. You never send the emails and the letters of revenge. And you say, did you do these things? And you didn't. You know that you're a strong businesswoman, a good person, and that this is complete bullshit. And so you kind of bring yourself back by saying, come on, Harriet, who are you? Why did this happen? And focus not on that, but on moving forward, taking actions to connect with great people. And I contacted many chairs and CEOs and, eventually found an amazing new role doing the new IoT startup for IBM. Who were absolutely focused on all my transformations, all of the digital work, all of the powerful demonstrations of putting people, planet, and profits first. So you have to kind of, you know, get it out of your system, park it, and move on with positive action. Otherwise, it will destroy you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Now, coming to my main question, for a lot of us who are mid-career professionals, that's why Project Wand is actually has been created to sort of help us, you know, really push on, press on, you know, so that we don't drop out of the workforce. I know you said, you know, believe in yourself and what stops you from getting to the boardroom, but sometimes for mid-career professionals, it's just about how do I just get through this stuck in the middle, you know, just like the song, I'm stuck in the middle and I can't get out of it, you know. So could you sort of give us some advice from your career, you know, how do you, from that middle stage, how do you move on? How do you, what keeps, how do we do it?
Two practical actions. One is go find some mentors, some allies, some sponsors, people. You know, it is amazing to me that if you ask most people, if they're not already overloaded with, you know, tens and tens of mentees, will be delighted, men and women, to give you the coaching and the support you need. And you can, you know, reach out to them. You can ask advice. You've got another set of brains and experiences. The second is that, you know, find a company, find 5, find 20 that you'd really like to be on the board of, or they don't even have to be companies. They could be organizations that you feel passionately about. Find out who the chairman or the SID or someone on the board. Write a beautiful letter about you and what differentiates you and why you'd like to help. Be different. It's just work. It doesn't magically happen. And the more you do, I always say this isn't very politically correct, but you have to kiss a lot of frogs to find a prince. You have to have a lot of goes before it happens. But do it, do it, do it.
Thank you so much, Harriet.
Thank you, Nilüfer. I
Thank
think
you,
we. Oh, thank you. Great question. Pooja, are you here? Because I know that you also.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi. Hello, Harriet. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Pooja.
I have 2 questions. So first is it's great listening to your story. But I was discussing with Shruti the other day that if you look at Indian women on in boardrooms, they've all inherited a seat. Either they are the daughter or wife or sister of an already running family business, or they are themselves entrepreneurs. They started their own business and then they were sort of then at a later stage, if they were successful as entrepreneurs, invited on the boards. Is this the same story apart from India and other countries? Not sure. If yes, then do you think there are chances of people who work in other people's businesses to earn a board seat? And if yes, is it the same things? Self-belief and
That's
board?
not my experience of the Indian boardroom. There are many companies. Take one of your largest capitalized businesses, Infosys, has both a general counsel and one of India's most powerful entrepreneurs female entrepreneurs on the board. If you look at your financial services, you will see a number of women who are there through their own merit. But Pooja, the issue is we can all spend tons of time focusing on why not. Forget why not and focus on why you. I go back to pick a board, start telling your story. You know, all of you, the reason for developing a personal brand is so that people can see you online. So people say, who is this Pooja woman? What is she doing? Who is this Nilüfer? I mean, seriously, you're in communications, you're in PR, you're in brand. All of you should be building a presence that people go, wow. So we can all focus on why not. And there are a lot of why nots in India. But I am coaching you to focus on why me, that you take action, that you start to connect and link. And yes, there will be those who say, oh, I don't really like the look of her. Have you seen what's on her CV? Oh my Lord, Thomas Cook. Or say, wow, she seems very ambitious. Oh my. But then there are those who say, I've looked at the detail. You transformed, Thomas Cook. And if you'd still been there, the company would be alive and kicking today. Or people who say, I love your website, harrietgreen.com. Tells me everything I need to know. So don't focus on why not. There's a million why nots in my life and other lives. Focus on why Pooja. Yeah.
Thank you. Actually, that actually leads to my second question. Telling your story, building your brand. I've been told it around a decade of my career that optics is very important. Talking about who you are and what you do is more important. Is very very critical to move forward in your career, and it doesn't come naturally to me. And that is also something I was discussing with Shruti. How much of optics, if that's the correct word, is important versus you keep doing your work versus talk about it as much as you work?
I think that's a brilliant question. I mean, first of all, you have to keep doing your work. You have to be really good at what you do. I mean, that goes without saying. And it is a true fact, sadly, that every woman in a position of power is 10 times greater in her capabilities than the others who might have gotten it. So we have to be good at what we do. That's a given, unfortunately. And I agree with you. For many women, actually not me, I wrote a piece about imposter syndrome, and I've never personally experienced imposter syndrome at all. So that tells you something about how confident and cocky I am. But I understand for many introverts, for many women who are focused on getting the work done, childcare, etc., there isn't time to promote yourself. But the reality is, you have a brand, Pooja. It is your personal brand, and you are responsible for it. And if we gave Nilofer the Pooja brand, maybe you should do this, and Pooja gave Nilofer your brand, and you worked on each other's brand, you would make sure that you had a powerful, accurate, beautiful brand that demonstrates what you've done, what you want to do with the right graphics, etc. It's part of success. So park the fact that you don't have time. So I'll give you an example. For years, I said, I don't have time to network. I'm way too busy. Networking is something men do. I don't have time. There's no objective. You know, I can't assess whether it's a success. And one of my male mentees said, Harriet, you need to learn to do this. You need to. And I began to network with other amazing women. And it was worth it. And it has paid off. But no one is more responsible for the Pooja brand than you. So pretend it was another brand and go make it dance. Yeah?
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
I absolutely love what you just suggested. I mean, it's just such easy tips. And I can see the chat, people talking about it. The quick question from someone that I see here, Harriet. Rima, are you there? Otherwise, I could just read this out. As someone already inside the boardroom, what do you look for while deciding on who should join a board, keeping diversity aside?
Yeah, I think it's all the things. It's a great question, by the way. All the things I've already said. I look for a real passion and excitement for what the organization does, whether it's a charity, a trustee, a public board, a private board, an NGO. I look for people who love what this organization really does. The second thing I look for is a specific skill, something that they bring to the party that others don't have. Supply chain, globality, PR, comms, storytelling, digital marketing, whatever that may be. And then thirdly, I look for someone who's an interesting mix, someone who's prepared to use their voice, but not so objectionably that you wish they'd shut up. So I think it's quite a challenge to get that balance right. But I really respect courage in the boardroom, because boardrooms are made great when someone says, I don't know, something doesn't feel right about this. I know you're all voting and you all believe this is right, but I want to share some discomfort here. I don't think this is the right thing to do at this time. I think the courage and the honesty, and it's fine to say, I feel. I've used that phrase, my gut, I feel. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I know you feel differently, but could I just express this view? And really good chairs know that companies go over a cliff because everyone agrees with everyone else. They all go to the same golf club. They all go to the same restaurant. They all love each other and they all agree with each other. And you need positive other voices that say something constructively different. Does that make sense?
Love that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And I totally, may I just
Absolutely.
say, I totally disagree with someone who's written communication never really makes it to the boardroom. In
That was
my
the next thing I wanted
experience,
to pick up. Please go for it.
Yeah.
Please go
in
for
my
that.
experience, that's not the case. How something is communicated, how something is marketed, digital media crises, press, these are all at every board table. I don't know why you think it isn't. And it's an opportunity for you. Go make it happen. Age makes no difference in a boardroom. I mean, if you're 20, I think I joined my first board at 40. So probably I looked 60, but I was 40. But it doesn't matter. It's not your age. Don't put up barriers. I mean, you have to have done something. You know, you can't just say, I want to be on your board and there's no good reason why not. So I disagree with that one. Anyway, we're coming to the end. What else do you want to pull out, Shruti?
Yeah, so I saw another one here, but I think you've kind of answered that about, important choices is to choose a good partner or husband, who will take an equal role, but you've obviously spoken about that. Then there was one around, it's all about, having the passion, even to decide which boards to make it to. You spoke about that. Let me just open it up. I think we've pretty much, so I see one here. How supportive do you think women are for each other? With men, they have the old boy network going. Do you think women have each other's backs? With women having to prove themselves constantly, is it a challenge to stand up and be an ally and empower other women? That's Varsha. That's her
Well,
question.
in my experience, I believe profoundly there is a cold place in hell for women who don't support other women. And whether they're young, we just have to support each other. And we also have to call out those women who don't and quietly say to them, hey, this isn't on. I want to support you. I want to help you. You made a great point in that meeting. Or to give, really positive feedback. Or if you feel someone needs a little bit of coaching in a certain area, give it. Be honest. Be kind. To women, to each other. That is so important. And you can start with that yourselves, right?
So, Harriet, on that note, actually, what I want to focus on is something that you always talk about. And I think the women here, would really like to, you talk about the three aspects of life, right? Keeping in shape, being creative, making money. I mean, it's sort of like your mantra, and the questions right now, till they come in, I would love for you to, just talk about how does all of that actually help all of us in this journey to, like you said, if you have the belief, you'll get to wherever it is you have to go to. But how much of this helps with, just the overall feeling of feeling great?
It's all connected. You cannot feel great about yourself if all you do is work. If all you do is, bemoan the fact that you don't have time to exercise. When I first came to Asia, 30 years ago, and I would ask my Asian female friends, what hobbies do you have? They would say, what do you mean, what hobbies? I don't have any time for hobbies. So to be well, to be strong, to be self-resilient, to be feeling good about yourself, I think that I have learned that to be doing something creative is good for my brain. I like to write and read. I've just started to, do a bit of painting, and I'm really bad at it, by the way, but I just really love to open up my creative brain. I always did. Secondly, I think we have to stay physically well. And that means running, jumping, skipping, whatever is good for us, because it's good for us. If we are not spending an hour a day doing something just for ourselves, we have become in bondage somehow. And then thirdly, something that has impact, making money, giving back, purposeful intent, whatever your particular purpose and goal in life is. And that way, we're more rounded. If all we do is run, jump, and skip, how are you going to pay for that? If all you do is work, how are you going to stay well? And India has a crisis of health in Indian women who do not look after themselves and find a million ways to say that is someone else's problem. So I think it is very important that we are investing in ourselves as holistic beings and as women.
Thank you, Harriet. On that note, I'm just going to take the last question in from Sarita because it's a great one. She says, do share an incident where things did not go the way you wanted them to go, and how did you deal with it? I know you gave us one example a little earlier, but we'd love to hear one more, please.
Indeed. So I was doing amazing work as a public company CEO. All of the metrics, engagement, new clients, growth in revenue, raised 1.9 billion, everything going phenomenally. But I think I made it look too easy. Everyone thought it was done. And I think they wanted someone easier to deal with on a daily basis, because doing transformations are a big challenge. And they wanted someone more traditional, more from travel, more part of that kind of world. So I learned that making it look too easy is not always the best thing. The second was that I underestimated. So the next stage in this transformation was not owning one's own planes or one's own hotels. And I started to move down that streamlined asset base. But the board loved all of those things. They loved the old world of travel, and I was unable to take them with me. And those are important learnings as you progress. Don't make it look too easy, and try and take a board with you on very, very big milestones of transformations. And huge sustainable transformations really take 5 or 6 years. Hope that helps.
Absolutely. Absolute gems.
Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah.
Ikshita, do we want to, we've reached the end of the hour, and
I have feedback, guys.
Yeah, no, that's me actually, Harriet. I've got the, the azan behind me. So
Oh, that's not terrible feedback. That's beautiful.
yeah, thank you. So, Ikshita, should we just try and do we want to just go in for maybe one more question and keep it open?
We are past time. It depends on Harriet if she has another couple of minutes to take a question, or
I think what I would like to do in that final minute is just sort of close out with a few thoughts.
Yeah.
I think my advice to you, my top tips, is keep learning. Develop the skills that the world needs. As I've moved through different industries, learn from the mistakes you make, and really look to improve, to have impact, to have a voice. So keep learning. Keep developing the skills the world needs. Keep believing in yourself. Keep renegotiating your choices with those around you, and be nice to yourself. Each day, think about all the good things that you do, and all of the rich things that you contribute. And with that self-worth and self-belief, you'll get even stronger. So thank you for your interest in me. Thank you for these amazing questions. Shruti, thank you so much for asking me to be a part of this session. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Harriet. I think the chat is buzzing with just some amazing comments. So we couldn't have had a better start to our sessions in January. So thank you so much, and and thank you for wearing your jhumkas, which are I think everybody should notice. Harriet has actually worn some Indian jhumkas for us and dressed like Priyanka Chopra. That's what she actually told us. That really bright top. So
Very Bollywood.
That's what makes, I think, Harriet, that's what makes you you. We love your personality, and thank you so much for what you do. Thank you. Really look forward to speaking to you again. But thank you so much.
Good luck.
And thank you everyone for joining in, and see you soon. Yeah, from GWPR signing off. Thank you so much.